Greetings, and welcome to another installment of Saratoga in Shutdown, a series produced by the Spa City Review to discuss the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the Saratoga community. If you'd like to contact us, you can reach us at news@spacityreview.com. We are now several weeks into the shutdown, and tonight we wanted to check in with a local business owner and get his take on the situation. I'm Peter Burley, and on our panel this evening is Spa City Review contributor Megan Zyme, and our guest is Daniel Chessare, proprietor of the Saratoga Broadway Deli. Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
I feel like your story, for me at least, began with a post on Facebook during this whole shutdown, where the post basically said, with school closings, if there were any kids who weren't getting their lunches, you said, "Hey, we'll provide them box lunches."
Yeah, so this actually, it came out before everything was officially shut down. I actually have one of my regular customers is a Skidmore professor, and he had brought up during breakfast that there are so many kids who depend on these lunches. It just got me thinking. So by the 13th, I already put out a notice saying, hey, if schools are going to shut down, if you need lunches, come to me. At the time when I said that, schools didn't have anything in place for a lunch program to get to these kids. So, and my daughter goes to Maple Ave Middle School. So I just thought I'd get ahead of it and put something out there to kind of bridge the gap between when the schools officially announced their lunch programs so that parents wouldn't freak out. They knew that, like, hey, if they needed something, I could at least go downtown to grab a bite to eat for my kids.
And when you put out the word to the community, you had a huge response, didn't you? You got a lot of donations?
I got a lot of donations. I mean, the initial post, the one just saying, hey, we shouldn't abandon each other, that one reached about 700,000 people.
Wow.
And with over 10,000 shares and God knows how many comments and whatnot. And then we started accepting cash donations at that point to just help us stay open. And we also started accepting like juice boxes, fruit cups, bottles of water, stuff like that. Now at this point, 4 weeks later, most of that stuff is gone. We've provided a fair amount of lunches. I got some other businesses in town to jump in on it. Whole Harvest Co. over on Caroline Street is offering vegan and salad alternatives for kids who may have some dietary restrictions. For a while, Bookmakers was also offering it until the Holiday Inn had to shut down. So, yeah, it turned out pretty well, and it was nice to see a lot of businesses in town step up and help.
Now, the latest project you're working on is box lunches for healthcare workers at urgent care. That's through Flag of Saratoga?
Yeah, so Flag, Frontline Appreciation Group, is a local group that just got started up only in a few weeks. They're just a local branch of a larger organization, and they collect cash donations from the public in order to buy lunches for essential workers at hospitals. So that way the business still gets to make a little bit of money and hospital workers get a free lunch, and the community feels like they can still help out in some way even though they're stuck at home. So this coming Friday, we're making about 60 box lunches for urgent care out in Wilton.
So Dan, your school lunch program has been very successful and such an awesome thing for you to do. And the community is really lucky to have people like you who are doing things like this. For you personally, how is your business doing during the pandemic? How are you surviving there?
Well, the first week or two actually wasn't pretty bad. Community came out like a lot to show support for local businesses. You know, immediately off the bat, 3/4 of Saratoga restaurants shut down. Majority of Saratoga lost their jobs. We're such a service-oriented town. And we were able to keep most of our staff on. We had to let go everybody associated with Amuse, which was Dominic Colos's restaurant in the evening that we're doing out of the Deli. We're not doing Amuse at all. So I got to keep my staff on for the Deli. They got let go. And then it was pretty easy for us to convert over to a takeout and delivery only format, mainly because we were already known for our delivery and takeout. The systems were already in place. We had online ordering, we had DoorDash. Most of our business came from offices in town. That was the biggest loss. Once they officially shut down non-essentials and told people to work from home, losing the office business in town reduced our income by about 50%. I personally haven't paid myself in 3 weeks just so I can keep my staff on, because the 3 remaining staff I have still haven't been able to get through the unemployment process. And we're going on 4 weeks at this point.
Now, as far as you as a small business owner, have you been able to take advantage of any federal aid yet?
I've tried. I put in a request for the economic relief funds from the SBA 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I still haven't heard a response. I put in a request for the PPP, the payroll protection plan, about 10 days ago, and I finally got a response today.
And this seems to be what I'm hearing from other business owners in town, that federal aid has not arrived yet, and the system is bogged down.
Right. So the PPP will come quickly. Now that we've been approved, they have to get the funds to us within 10 days. So within the next 10 days, I'll get the money from the PPP. The problem is the guidelines are murky, and even the bankers and the business owners aren't really sure about the guidelines to this fund. Like before the shutdown, I had 7 employees, 4 of them being for our dinner service. And I don't need them back.
Yeah.
I don't need 7 employees. We're only open 6 hours a day, not 14 hours a day. So problem is they're telling me I have to use this money to rehire employees I laid off. But 2 of them were waitresses, and I have to pay them minimum wage to basically do nothing.
Yeah.
And then they're going to lose their unemployment one way or the other. They're either going to lose it because I offered them a job and they turned it down, or they're going to lose it because I rehired them, and now they're only going to get paid minimum wage at 20 hours a week instead of all the money they were making from unemployment. So it's not a perfect system.
In fact, it almost sounds like more hassle than it might be worth.
Almost, except that if you don't use the funds for rehiring employees, they convert it into a loan instead of a grant.
Okay.
So the loan itself is only 1% interest. So at this point, it might be better for me to just bite the bullet and turn it into a loan.
Yeah.
We have about a year to pay it back, and I could use that for whatever I want at 1% interest instead of rehiring 4 additional employees that are going to sit around and do nothing and make a third of what they would be making on unemployment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how it's going to happen yet. I just got the approval today. The banker is still trying to get details on the exact parameters of the spending. So we'll see how it goes.
Dan, you have some unique insight into this pandemic that's happening right now, because your brother is an epidemiologist.
Mm-hmm. Yep. My brother, Michael Minna, is an epidemiologist at Harvard Med out in Boston. And when this first cropped up back in like December and January, when it was only a problem in Asia, he basically told the family, like, don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to the president. Don't listen to the media. This is coming to America. Like, there's no 2 ways about it. And it was super frustrating to watch all the media, call this a China virus or the Kung flu or some other bullshit like that. And we were able to prepare for this in some way, not only because our business was already a takeout and delivery format, but also because, like, we announced we weren't letting people into our deli a couple days before the government announced that dining rooms had to be shut down. We announced kids could get free lunches before they officially announced school was delayed. So we were able to at least be ahead of the game a little bit and offer these things, mainly thanks to my brother, who was, just giving the family a heads up.
Yeah, yeah. Dan, I wanted to ask you two things on more of a personal level. You've had the Broadway Deli for over 2 years now?
No, we opened up in July 2018.
Okay.
So July 2020 will be 2 years.
So, and you right off the bat, you were doing well, and you've had a great run so far.
Not bad. I mean, restaurants are always slim profit margins, but
yeah.
Before I opened the deli, I looked at Saratoga and I was like, Saratoga needs a diner, a deli, and a taco place.
Yeah.
I didn't want to work nights anymore. So I opened up the deli. And since I've opened, 2 taco places have opened and 2 additional delis have opened.
Yep.
But the only thing missing is the
diner.
Actual diner. Yeah.
So is your outlook right now bleak, or are you hopeful?
It's not great. It's like I said, sales are down about 50%. We went from, at this time of year, we'd be in spring ramping up towards summer, coming out of winter sales, which are always bleak. But now, I think my biggest issue is that I can't predict anything. Last year I could look at numbers and be like, oh, we were this busy. This year it's like Monday we could do $50 worth of business, and Tuesday we could do $800 worth of business, and then Wednesday we're doing $100 worth of business.
Yeah.
There's really no rhyme or reason to when people at home get fed up with their spouse's cooking and decide to order out. So
how about
it's tough.
How about as a dad? How has this affected you as a dad?
Particularly rough. I haven't actually been with I haven't actually had my daughter in about 4 weeks. When this all happened, she was already at my parents' house when they announced the official quarantines, the isolation, the social distancing. She was at my parents' house.
Yeah.
And since I still work with the public, and my parents are right smack in the group that is most susceptible to this virus, they're like, yeah, you can take your daughter home, her back in the house afterwards. So you have to bring her to work with you every day, or she needs to be at home alone every day.
Yeah.
So, and I don't actually go into my parents' house anymore. I'll take walks with my daughter, or she'll come outside and we'll hang out and talk. But since it takes 2 weeks to start showing symptoms, even though I'm off this week, I still don't have my daughter, because for all I know, perhaps I was exposed the last day I worked.
I've heard recently that there's discussion of trying to reopen businesses by early May. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that on paper it sounds great. Trying to reopen the economy, get businesses back. Sounds awesome. But I think reopening too early would cause another outbreak during peak tourist season. And that would be more devastating than what we're facing right now.
So get this through now, bite the bullet now, as opposed to trying to rush in and go through a whole nother round of a large outbreak.
Right. So, we reopened May 1st, and maybe some people were sick the last week of April and they didn't know, and they start showing symptoms the first week of May, and they go clubbing or go out drinking, and all of a sudden we have another outbreak mid-May, and we have to quarantine again until mid-June. I mean, if we're worried about how this affects tourist season now, imagine how it's going to affect tourist season when we need to quarantine again in summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think opening too or going back to normal too early would be very dangerous.
And Dan, you've been closed this week. You're going to reopen April 21st or 20th.
April 20th, Monday, April 20th.
Monday, April 20th. We'll throw up the email link to the Broadway Deli. Let's say I want breakfast, I want lunch. What should I be getting?
Well, breakfast. I mean, right now we're the only bagel game in town. Uncommon Grounds is shut down. Spot Coffee shut down. So if you need bagels, ours are the best. And not only because we're the only ones open, but because we actually get them from the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then lunch, we got the best goddamn Reuben in Saratoga.
Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, you could place your order on DoorDash for delivery, or you could order directly through our website, or you could download an app called the Heartland Guest app and place your order on that.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice.
Dan, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and please follow up with us in the future and let us know how you're doing.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.